Hey everybody, we wanted to give you a follow-up to the Northwest Premier Invitational and give you a bit of an idea of how the scheduling is done. This seems to be one of the biggest questions that we always get is how does the schedule work? How is it set up? So we thought we'd go over that real quickly. So first of all, just covering the basics on that. The first game for any team will not be any earlier than 4 p.m. on Friday before the tournament. Okay, so that's Mountain Time. Keep that in mind. So if you're coming from the Pacific time zone, keep in mind it is a 4:30 Mountain Time. But you don't have to worry about games being at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. No games will start before 4:30, and I think there might be a bit of a misunderstanding there as teams are thinking they had to come in Thursday night. You really don't. Most teams from out of the area will travel in Friday morning and then have their games, their first game on Friday afternoon. So wanted to make that very clear. The other thing that we have had questions about is teams, when will the last games be? So for the 11U through the 15U divisions, those brackets will all end by Saturday night. You will not have any Sunday games if you're playing in the 11U through the 15U division. For the 16 and 17U divisions, there is a chance that you might have a game on Sunday. And those are typically, if you advance to one of the top brackets, semifinals, you may have games on Sunday. Some of them, it might be the finals. But there is a possibility that the 16U and 17U divisions will have games in Sunday. Some teams will have games on Sunday for sure. So plan accordingly, knowing that if you are in those two divisions, you may end up playing. Now, if you do play on Sunday, we can tell you that the games will definitely be done by about 1 o'clock on Sunday. So you can hit the road and get back home, or if you are flying, if you get a later flight that afternoon, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock that afternoon, you'll be fine. The games will be done by then. That's one of those things that we want to make sure that we promise to our teams, is that if we say we're going to be done, we're going to be done. So you can plan accordingly, because we know life goes on after the tournament is over, and you need to be able to make arrangements. So those are really the basics. Now, one other question we get about scheduling is making schedule requests. Some teams are traveling. 2/3 of our teams actually come from out of the area. We have teams from Washington, Oregon, Montana, Wyoming, Nevada, Colorado, California, Utah. So teams are coming from all over the place, and so some of them have asked, can we make scheduling requests? And the answer to that is yes, you can. When you go to register, there is a place where you can make your requests, and the requests you can do are Friday games. Can you play at the 4:30 time? And if you can't make it, then we can schedule you later. But here's the caveat. Here's the thing you got to keep in mind. Every year, we get over 150 scheduling requests. We cannot fill them all, so we fill them on a first come, first served basis, coming down to when you registered. So if you register early and you have one of the first requests in, you are more likely to get your request fulfilled than you are if you wait until the last minute. We just go through the list, who signed up first, do they have any requests, and then we move along. So that's how we fill those requests. So the first one is your your Friday play. What time can you play on Friday? But again, we don't start till 4:30, so most teams are good. They can play whenever on Friday. The other thing is, if you tell us that you're going to play late, you can't play till late on Friday, or some teams have said, I can't play on Friday at all, that's fine. If we can fill that request, we will. But keep this in mind. Just because you've made a request doesn't mean, and if you get it, it doesn't mean that you're going to be taken care of later on. That means that you may have a late game on Friday, and you may still have an early game on Saturday. We're just trying to fulfill your request so you can get into town, but you may have a game on Saturday morning. Here's the other thing. This is a 4-game guarantee. So there is a chance that if you don't want to play on Friday, you may have 4 games on Saturday. We've had teams that have had to play 5 games on Saturday because of their request. Now, if that's your situation, there's nothing you can do about it. We get it. Just be aware. We just really want to more give you a warning than anything. If you do not play on Friday, you may end up, and more than likely, you will have 4 games on Saturday. So Always a good reason to keep your guys well conditioned and ready to play at any moment's notice, because you may have a lot of games on Saturday if that's the situation. And then I think the other one was if you're coaching two teams and you don't want overlapping games, you can also make a request if you're the head coach. This does not apply to assistant coaches. It's only for the head coaches. But if you're the head coach of two teams, if you make a request to not play at the same time, or let us know you have two teams, we will do our best to make sure that you do not have games on top of each other. Again, keep in mind, with all the requests that come in and all the teams that come in and the limited amount of venue space that we have, you may still have games back to back. So even if we get them so that you don't have to play at the same time, I definitely highly recommend that you have an assistant coach or a parent that can, if nothing else, get your next game started. Okay? Make sure they got somebody that can fill out the rosters, can get the kids warmed up, and may even get past the jump ball and can get them into their first half of the game. Because even though all the venues are close together, you never know. If there's an accident on the freeway, something happens on the way over, you may be late to your game. So we can do those requests if you get them in early, but you got to make sure that you have a backup plan, which is usually an assistant coach or a parent that can get them started. So that's how the scheduling requests work. And then finally, we wanted to talk about how we structure the tournament in general and why so many people consider this to be one of the more competitive and fun tournaments. And basically what we do is we take a lot of time when the teams register. We look at every division and we make sure that, to the best of our abilities, we are not scheduling teams from the same region in the same pool. So we start out in pool play. You'll have 3 or 4 teams in your pool, and we really look at that and go, can we spread it out so that 2 teams that are from Portland aren't playing each other in the same pool? We'll try to put that Portland team, those 2 Portland teams, in different pools, and then maybe bring in a Montana team, and maybe bring in a Utah team, and then maybe throw in an Eastern Idaho team, just to make sure that the chances are low. It's not 100%, but very low, that you're going to play somebody you've already played. Now, obviously, once we get into bracket play, there's nothing we can do about that. There's no way we can know where you're going to finish in your pool, but we do the best we can to at least give you new games, new competition in the pool play part of it. And really, with the variety of teams that we have coming from all over the place, I mean, we've had teams come from Alaska and from Canada. It does make it pretty, for most cases, it makes it pretty straightforward on how we can schedule them out, because there just aren't a lot of teams that are going to be from the same area, or at least we can spread them out initially. So hopefully that gives you a sense of how we do the bracketing. Like I said, we start in pool play. From there, you advance into a bracket, and then you just see where things go from there. And we try to get you some new competition. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us a message, either via Facebook, Messenger. You can send it, whatever. You can send it to email. Just send it to vince@idahoselect.org. You can go to our website, northwestpremierinvitational.com. We got a bunch of information on there, more FAQs and that kind of thing, and our contact information as well. So shoot us a message. Let us know if you have more questions. If you haven't registered, you definitely want to get registered as soon as you can. And not just so you can get your scheduling requests in. We are going to be cutting off registration. I believe it's April 28th. And at that point, we only fill in where we need to. And so if you don't register by then, there's no guarantee you're getting in. So we highly recommend that you register as soon as possible, just to make sure that there isn't any disappointed parents and players and teams. And we've had this happen before, where people book hotels, get their flights, forget to register their team, and then 2 days before the tournament they say, I forgot to register, I need to get in. At that point, there's nothing we can do for you. So make sure that you get in now. NorthwestPremierInvitational.com. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will see you May 10th, 11th, and 12th in Boise, Idaho for the Northwest Premier Invitational. Thanks.